Namaste. So today I thought I'll start with showing you where I am sitting, and I thought I will take a few minutes and to go back in memory about one a system that I've been very closely associated or been the key contributor in my early career days. That was a system called Vidwan. It's an expert system shell, and to the best of my knowledge, I mean that is the only expert system shell that has been built and kind of made available to public in India. And the story starts with my IIT engineering days, and when Professor Mahabala brought a new paper which talks about a simple rule-based engine for identifying animals. You know, if the skin type, horns, and etc. You to using that to identify animal using a bunch of rules. So he showed the paper and told me and a colleague of another friend of mine, Umesh, to see if we can implement a similar program. And we did that, and he liked the program. And eventually that became my BTech thesis also. BTech final project was implementing the similar shell in a more rugged, more with good UI and rule editing and all that capabilities. So that's how. So that became my final project, and Professor Mahabala really liked it. He used to go around the country and talk about this system, and it was for him it was called IIT Rule, IIT Madras rule-based system, and so we're very happy that my BTech project would actually become something that's useful and kind of like a landmark in the AI journey of India. And when I came back, came to NCST and joined here, we were there was courses that we were teaching on various topics, and there was a thought of teaching a course on expert systems. So then I decided that, and Dr. Ramani, my supervisor, told me that why don't you implement a similar system, which we can use for the students. So I implemented a system similar in functionality using Prolog, and the IIT system was implemented in Pascal, which was a language which had just come up at that time, and we had to do a lot of innovation to create a colorful user interface because there was no GUI and all that. So we had to do a lot of hard work in getting cursor movement or menu selection and all that, which were not available in systems at that time. And so the one that I implemented in NCST was written in Prolog, basically a simple system which allowed. So I created a rule structure which had a Prolog-like format, so that it is easier to parse the rules from the rule file. And these rules were interpreted through Prolog engine, and that was used by a lot of students in the expert system course, and that became very useful. Then we wanted to move it to what was then the most popular language, C. So we implemented the whole system in C, in a Unix environment using cursors interface for menu selection and movement. So the whole full engine was there, along with rule-based editor and associated components. It was a comprehensive system. And we just around that time the IBM PCs were coming around, and which was becoming the de facto popular computer for many people. So we re-implemented it in Windows. At that time it was just with DOS. There was not even Windows at that time. On a DOS system, using the cursor manipulation utilities, we re-implemented the whole thing to run on DOS also. This actually became available as a product, and at a price of, I think if I remember correctly, it was some 1400 rupees per copy those time, and it was made available. And it was, I think, the first time we were building a product in NCST. So a lot of exploration was done on how to copy protect it, how do you make sure that people actually don't copy and distribute. Not that we were worried about the system being made available, but it was useful to know who's using it and to be able to share updates and things like that. So we came up with an innovative copy protection mechanism using floppy drives, and we had to create a software performance document, agreements, and user manual. So it was a big experience, because most of it I was the primary contributor, and there was one other person also who helped with the editor in implementation. So I was driving the whole thing from end to end, the internal architecture design. I mean, that at that time architecture had a very limited implication because it was standalone monolithic system. But still, as I mentioned elsewhere, the memory limitations of an IBM PC was a big challenge. So, coming up with suitably broken up in representation for the rules, the antecedents, consequence, working memory. These were interesting challenges. So it was a very big experience to actually implement that system almost 4 times in all, and every time learning something new in the process. And kind of I was the developer, the documenter, the customer service, and all that. So because we were a very small team, just two of us in the group, and so that way I was able to get a lot of exposure to a lot of nuances of all these. And the system was tested very heavily by our students, expert system students, who built very high quality rule bases running into 300 to 500, 800 rules on various topics, from finance to medicine to machine troubleshooting to all kinds of things. So it was really wonderful here. And subsequently, when technology evolved further, Windows came in and Windows-based programming became possible. We got it re-implemented in Windows, and of course, going further down, when web programming became accessible, which is about 15 to 20 years back, we re-implemented the whole thing as a web application also. So that time the work was done mostly by newer people who we had taken at that time. But we did a lot of additional work on creating an engine to verify and validate rule bases, building uncertainty handling supports, building knowledge acquisition engines, and so on. So there was a big ecosystem that we were able to do. But unfortunately, by that time, the enthusiasm about the expert system had kind of waned, and therefore, slowly the system went out of fashion, or hardly was supported. But it was a wonderful experience being able to work on a system end to end, and to see the system actually being used in practice. I think about 300 copies of that system were bought at the price that we had indicated by various organizations, and so we did hear from some of them, and they have built expert system using that. So it was a very memorable experience early in my career. So I thought I'll share with you, and hopefully that might inspire some of you to pick up that kind of development activities. Thank you. Take care. See you next time.